Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news on what is a big, massive day for us Manchester United fans. AC Milan coming up tonight. We'll be talking about that and we'll be talking about Ollie's top 4 priorities as well as a few other things. There's also a couple of things I really want to, I wouldn't say rant about, but certainly get it off my chest, so to speak. A couple of things that are quite irritating at the moment. But massive game tonight. Look, they're coming for me. There's the La Liga crowd and everybody else. They're coming for me if we go out tonight. So, you know, bring it on, I suppose. This is football. Welcome to football. Football is there to be bantered when things don't go your way. So Man United get knocked out tonight. It will be very hard. I'm basically coming off social media for 24 hours if we lose tonight. But we'll see what happens with that. Talking about tonight, just remember, links in the video description. United Stand Picks. We've got another £1,000 cash prize pot. You must be over 18. If you've already downloaded it, you may as well play it. 12 questions, all to do with the game tonight. We'll be scoring the first half. Will Bruno get an assist? Will Rashford score? 12 questions, all in-game. There's an in-game leaderboard during the game as well. Free to enter. It is free to enter, but you must be over 18 because we are giving away cash prizes. £1,000 cash prize pot. The link is in the video description for that. If you've already downloaded it, make sure you play it because you may as well because it's free. MKP says he's nervous. I am nervous ahead of this game in the sense, not that I think the thing that it comes down to for me, and I want to talk about it in a minute as to why, is Solskjaer. Look, the first thing I want to say, we'll talk about Solskjaer's top 4 transfer targets in a moment, but I just want to say this. I finished the show last night. I went on to That's Football and did the Chelsea game, and in between it, I got this message saying that somebody basically just saying that Solskjaer has got no tactics and will only win tomorrow because of Pogba or Bruno or Rashford. It'll be just individual brilliance as ever because Solskjaer's got no tactics. And I was like, you know what? I talk a lot of crap. I'm sure a lot of you talk a lot of crap, but I try to find, I'll say when it's my opinion, and I'll also say, well, this is a story, this is where it's coming from, this is the full story, not just the headline, etc. Try and give you all the information for you to make your mind up. But I think what the dangerous thing is that there are people out there that regurgitate shit from their throat, and some people swallow it. And like this whole Solskjaer... There's people out there who will sit there and tell you and they'll go, Solskjaer's got no tactics. He's got no tactics. It's just going to be individual brilliance from Pogba or Bruno or Rashford because Solskjaer's got no tactics. He's useless, mate. He's useless. He's got no tactics. And these people shouldn't even be allowed a platform. You know, they shouldn't really be because they are talking out their arse through their mouth. Like, it's nonsense. You might not like the tactics. You might not like them. But he's got them. I've seen interviews from Alex Telles, Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, all in the last week, all talking about we've got to go and do what Solskjaer wants us to do. We've got to play the way he wants us to play. We've got to follow his tactics to the letter. Now, the only time I've ever played football, and look, this is the worst team talk I ever had. It was Saturday morning football. It was a pub match, and the manager, who was the player manager, basically said, "We've all had a heavy night last night. Just go out and enjoy yourself." Now that's not tactics, is it? But this is Premier League football. Whether it's Lampard, Arteta, Sean Dyche, or Pep Guardiola, or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they've all got tactics. You might not like it, and I don't like some of Solskjaer's tactics, but he's definitely got them. So when you're critiquing the man, don't fall into this basic, idiotic trap of saying he's got no tactics, it's just about individualism. This is Premier League football. You can't survive. The players wouldn't respect it. He would have been sacked a long time ago if he was just sending them out and they were going, "What are we doing then today, Ollie? Just enjoy yourself." You know, there is a defensive line. There is what we do on the ball. There are what we do from corners, and you might not like it, but there are definitely tactics there. So, you know, I get that why people might not like Solskjaer, but let's try and keep the criticism actually on an adult level instead of, you know, this immature, stupid level that people actually sit there and say, he's got no tactics, it's just individual brilliance. That's just stupid. You know, you don't really deserve a platform when you're talking stuff like that because it's nonsense. Like, he does have tactics. The issue tonight is, and I would agree with Solskjaer's critics here, is he's got to pick Paul Pogba. This, to me, and I saw Paul Parker saying it yesterday, he used to play for United, and he was like, why do Manchester United pick 2 midfielders who are just breakers up of the play? Why don't you put somebody in there that can actually make things happen? And that is a criticism, and that's the big problem we've had against the bigger teams. And we're going to Milan tonight, where we need to score. We need to score. We don't necessarily need to win, but we need to score. We can draw 2-2 and go through, but we need to score. So if you need to score in a game, why would you set up with McFred? Why would you do that? Like, they are deep-lying midfielders who just break up the play. And they got dominated last week by Kessie and everybody else they had in their midfield. Pogba's got to play today. Now, the excuse will be that Pogba's only not played in 6 weeks. We played Marcus Rashford injured on Sunday. That's not an excuse. If Paul Pogba's fit, and Paul Pogba's fit because he wants to play for France next week. I said this a few weeks ago. Pogba loves playing for France and he wants to play for France next week. That's why he's back fit. He's fit to play for France next week. He's fit to play for Manchester United tonight. And we need him to play tonight. Pogba's got himself back fit. Play him tonight. We need him. Because if we pick McFred and we go out, that's the decision that is on Solskjaer. If he picks McFred and we win, well, look, you've gambled and you've got it right. And I hope that happens. But if you pick McFred and we lose and we go out, then everyone's going to say Pogba should start this game. We've got to get some creativity in that midfield because it will get overrun. Hi Mark, hope you're well. Good luck for tonight. It should be a cracking game. Going to be tight, says Skippy FC. And he has tactics, but they are defensive tactics to keep it tight and nick something on the other end. That's due to him overprotecting his slow centre-backs. Salah Ahmed. Yes, exactly. I've got no problem with people not liking Solskjaer's tactics, but I can't get on board. I'm very protective of fan opinion. You know, you might not like me. Might not like the way I react to things. Whatever, I don't really care. But I'm very protective of fan opinion because this is where the United stand has grown, and I have to call it out when people just come out with nonsense. Like, it's just, it doesn't do. You can imagine Rio Ferdinand or Gary Neville or Gary Lineker or Jamie Carragher sitting there on Monday Night Football and going, the trouble with Solskjaer is he's got no tactics. He's got no idea. He's just sending them out on pure vibes. You know, it's just like, he'd be ridiculed because it's a stupid comment. Hey Mark, today's my birthday, so I hope we get a big result tonight, which I'm sure we will, says Ollie. Well, I hope so. And Mark, as you know, I follow you a lot. Last match you said that injuries doesn't matter as we're still better. I think we agree that we're afraid more than last week, right? Also, they have a full team, says Brian. And morning Mark, if our players are saying they've got to go out and do what Ollie says to the letter, does that mean some of them haven't, says Andy and Bruno? Well, I think it's very obvious, Andy, that it's not that they haven't, it's that they can't. The amount of times Solskjaer says after a game, we wanted a quicker tempo, we've not passed the ball well enough. I think he does give enough hints that some of these players are not good enough. But let me just say this, siege mentality. I don't care what you think about Solskjaer, I don't care what you think about McFred, I don't care what you think about Pogba, I don't care what you think about Bruno, I don't care what you think about Magaluf, I don't care what you think about who's in goal. What I care about is that, the badge, Manchester United. That's why I support Manchester United. That's what I want to win tonight. Couldn't give a toss about divisive little opinions within the fan base. Couldn't give a toss about what player you want to play in goal. I want Manchester United to win tonight. That's what I'm up. It's the same way I felt on Sunday against West Ham. Siege mentality. I want the win. I don't care how we get it. I want to get through because I tell you what, if we get through, I think we can win this tournament with the players we've got back in April because international break is upon us. I think we can win this tournament. Tonight's massive, and I've got that feeling. I've got that feeling that I had on Sunday ahead of the West Ham game. I've got it. It's there. It's in the pit of my stomach. It's the passion. It's the drive. It's the belief. It's Manchester United, and that's what I want to see tonight. I don't want to see people moaning about, oh, I don't like the way we played when we won. We win. That's what I want us to do tonight, and I'm up for it. Let's do it. Thank you, Renate, for your sticker. And to Ansebi to start, Diamond with Matic at the base and Pogba and Fred behind Bruno, says Varyn. Well, before we move on to this transfer news, let me just say the leaked team, well, not the leaked team, I've seen a predicted team, and it was I think it was Will De Gea start over Henderson, says Salah Ahmed. I don't know. I wasn't planning on talking about the goalkeeper situation, but I will do. I'm not interested in this. I'll get rid of this, get rid of that. This is a media-driven thing that I refuse to get involved in now because it's just divisive to our fan base and I don't want to be involved in that. It's pointless. Let them make the decision about the goalkeeper in the summer. I still believe that Ollie is going to share the role for the goalkeepers, and I think one of them will play tonight and one of them will play on Sunday. The interesting thing is that Henderson's been playing in the Premier League recently, and it was De Gea in the Premier League and Henderson in the Cups. There's 2 games. I think De Gea's got to play tonight. It's a big game against AC Milan. I think you go with your number 1 goalkeeper and your most experienced goalkeeper. So I think De Gea starts for me tonight because I like Henderson, but we conceded because of him last week and they got an away goal because of him. Now, that might play on his head. It might not, but I don't need to take that risk. If you put De Gea in and he makes a mistake, people will say Henderson should have started. If you put Henderson in and he makes a mistake, people will say De Gea should have started. I think he's got to go with De Gea for me, but look, let's see what he does. Whatever Ollie does with the goalkeeper, I'll back him on it. But I personally would go with De Gea. Should be Wan-Bissaka. We know it's going to be Maguire and Lindelof, Luke Shaw. I would go Fred and Pogba, Bruno, and then it's going to have to be Greenwood, Rashford and James. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard for us because we don't have Martial, we don't have Cavani. I'd like to see Van der Beek get involved, but we'll see how he lines up. But Pogba's got to start. He has to start this game. If he doesn't start, I'm worried, but he has to start in this game. So we'll see how it goes. Do you think that Lindelof and Tuanzebe would be a good centre-back partnership, says John? Well, I do, John, but I don't think we're going to see it in this game. Mark, I think you need to do the motivational team talk. Keep it up, mate. I agree totally, says Andy and Bruno. Well, I'm sure Solskjaer will get them motivated for tonight. He's a good man manager at the least, so I think he will. Anyway, let's talk about the title of the show. Solskjaer's top 4 transfer targets. This is coming from the Transferred podcast. Now, look, it's a news show on a morning show. So the Transfer podcast, Ian McGarry and Duncan Castles. I mean, it was the same podcast last week that spoke about Harry Maguire wanting an English-speaking centre back. So I don't necessarily, it's news. Brian Borg, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Thank you very much for joining. But what they're saying is that Manchester United's top 4 priorities are striker, striker, centre defensive midfielder, centre back, and I think it was a right winger, but potentially a right back as well. I mean, look, if Manchester United's intention this summer is to bring in a centre defensive midfielder and a centre back, anything else is a bonus. To me, they're the 2 priority positions for Manchester United. A centre-back and a centre defensive midfielder will revolutionise how this team plays if that centre-back is quick and if that CDM can take the ball off the back and pass it forward. That will change Manchester United and shield the defence. We will be a different team next season with those 2 positions. The striker position obviously is resonating around the club at the moment because of the Cavani and Martial uncertainty, but I think we can talk about transfers all we like. It's interesting, actually. Chelsea last night won. I'll talk about that in a little bit more depth in a moment. But the thing I wanted to say about this is that, can you remember a few weeks ago when Lampard got the sack? And there were a few Manchester United fans who were saying, well, look at this. This just shows you that spending money isn't necessarily the right thing to do, and that Solskjaer was justified for not spending loads of money in the summer last year. And I remember saying at the time, well, you know what? Everyone's always a genius in hindsight when they're moulding their opinion around a situation that suits. Solskjaer didn't decide not to spend money last year. The Glazers decided not to spend money. Solskjaer wanted Sancho 100% and he wanted a centre-back. So he didn't get what he wanted. Solskjaer didn't wake up in late September and go, you know what, let's make my job a lot harder. I really feel like getting half the fan base against me in mid-October, and I really feel like my job being in jeopardy just before Christmas. So I tell you what, forget those signings, let's do without. That's not what happened. Solskjaer wanted them, the club didn't deliver them. And then what happened is when Lampard got the sack, some people decided to write stories about, you know I'm talking about some of the journalists close to United who maybe have the club or the Glazers in their ear, and they put stories out like, well, this justifies United's transfer summer because the Chelsea bought loads of players, United didn't, and United are second and Chelsea are nowhere. Well, it's a load of nonsense. It's just a pro-Glazer article, really, because at the end of the day, many United fans like me at the time were like, well, that's just one circumstance. Look at Manchester City. They've spent loads of money and they spend most of their time at the top. But now, look at Chelsea. Look at Chelsea last night. Look at Chelsea over the last few weeks. All that money they spent in the summer was just mismanaged by Lampard, who didn't know how to deal with so many players. And I'm not sure Solskjaer would, and I'm not sure Arteta would. They're inexperienced coaches. They bring in a manager like Tuchel, if that's how you pronounce it, and he's got no Mason Mount, he's got no Jorginho, he's got no Thiago Silva. He plays Atletico Madrid off the park over 2 legs and still has Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi on the bench. Like, Chelsea's squad is unbelievable. So my point I want to bring back, because let's face facts, things change. Chelsea's transfer window last summer was magnificent. Lampard just didn't know how to handle it. Now they've got a manager in who can. That squad is only second to Manchester City. Chelsea's squad is unbelievable. And they probably still need a really good striker, but their squad is unbelievable. So don't sit there and think United's position in the league justifies not spending money last summer. There's a whirlwind coming now. Man City ain't going anywhere, and they'll probably spend more. Chelsea already have an amazing squad, and now they've got a manager that knows what to do it, and he's not even been backed yet. You can see what's coming. And this goes back to United's transfer targets there. There's a reason why I mentioned this. Man City ain't going to get any weaker. Chelsea have suddenly found a manager to use an amazing squad and are going to add to it. United are going into a transfer window going, yeah, but we spent nothing and we're second. You know there's a whirlwind to come, and the only person who's going to get sucked up in that whirlwind and spat out is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Because if he doesn't get backs this summer, and it needs to be 4 signings, if he doesn't get a centre-back, a CDM, maybe a striker and a right winger, then next season, I will say it straight, I'll say it now, it's very early to say this, but I'll say it now, if we don't back our manager properly in the summer, and I mean financially, we won't get second next year. Because you can see what Chelsea are doing. You can see that they've got somebody to use that squad now. And damn right we messed up last summer. And damn right Chelsea had an amazing summer. They just didn't have the manager to deal with it. Now they do. That summer looks the brilliant summer I thought it was at the time, and many of you did. A lot of people just, because Lampard didn't go well, they were Chelsea spent loads of money, just proves you don't need to spend loads of money, look at them, they're shit. Well, no, it actually shows if you get a decent manager in to deal with that money, just how dangerous they are. Ian says, Ian Lahun, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. And here he is, Zane. He says, Prince Harry, who is a gunner, and Meghan also could have another interview with Oprah to complain about the Arsenal bashing. Zane, I do not know how your mind works at all, but welcome to the morning show. And Kane says, is this the same Mark who said we won't even finish top 4 this season? And then he's put some smiley faces. I don't know why are you laughing about that? What's funny about that? I don't get what you're laughing about. Like, I do content every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, and I speak for about 45 minutes on average every single time, and I'm opinionated throughout those minutes. Now, I had an opinion back in September about where we were going to finish in the league, and we're not in that position. I haven't won the lottery in the last 8 months. I can't predict the future. I think Man United will win tonight on pure passion. I've got no idea whether we will. And when I looked at that transfer activity last summer, I thought it was an absolute disgrace. An absolute disgrace. And I predicted that Solskjaer getting us top 4 would be miraculous. I didn't think he could do it because I thought we won't be able to do it. Now, I didn't predict Liverpool's absolute... I mean, I don't think anybody predicted Liverpool's crash. So that's one team. Chelsea should be. I think with that squad, if Tuchel had started the season, they'd be fighting Man City for the title. Obviously, Man City ahead of us, and I actually thought Mourinho had a very good summer as well. So I actually genuinely will stand by the fact that I didn't think we could get top 4 this year because I didn't feel that Solskjaer had been backed, and I thought it was going to be a really hard task. Now, obviously, Liverpool falling apart has helped us. Lampard falling apart has helped us. And Mourinho being Mourinho has helped us. And we're second in the league. Now, is that not a reason to actually give Ollie till May? But there are people sat here going, get rid of Solskjaer, he's useless. People wonder why I say give him till May. And part of that reason is I can't believe at the start of the season I was like, we can't get top 4 with this squad. And here we are sat comfortably in second place. So I don't know what you're laughing smiley faces, because it only justifies my stance, is that give Solskjaer till May and let's see where we are, because I stand by what I said at the start of the season. The transfer window that was delivered by our owners to our manager was absolutely appalling. And not one of our signings from the summer has actually been decent. He didn't get what he wanted. Van der Beek, he's not used. Tellez has not been used. Cavani is injury prone. Diallo only came in January and doesn't get used. And Pellistri is now on loan in Spain. So the summer was an absolute shit show. And yet here we are, second in the league, on the cusp of hopefully winning tonight as well. Opinion please, Mark. Are you more afraid tonight than last week? I'm annoying, says Brian Borg. And Mark, don't listen to these trolls. The evidence was there that the transfer window was crap. Chelsea and Liverpool underachieved and we are overachieving. And look, says DK. I think Solskjaer's done a fantastic job. I really do. And I will back him on what I've always said. Even when we got knocked out by Leipzig, I said give him till May, because this is a mess that no manager should be having to come into. And I think Solskjaer has done a good job, and I hope we get the result tonight, because it will just keep silencing the critics. He's going to get a new contract. I personally think that the biggest thing in our fan base at the moment that everybody should be focusing on is the summer. If we don't do what we need to do in the summer, then we're going to fail. And I mean, look, I bring this in. I'll bring this up here. It makes me laugh, actually. I was doing the watch along for Chelsea versus Atletico Madrid last night, and I've been talking about this for a few weeks. I was very into that game because it was not about Chelsea Atletico Madrid. It was about the Premier League against La Liga, and I've been saying that the Premier League is stronger, and obviously Atletico Madrid are top at the moment. So when Chelsea scored, I was very happy about it, and some United fans chose to go to social media and start saying, I'm a Chelsea fan now. I mean, I've been a Forest fan, I'm now a Chelsea fan. But the reality is, what makes me laugh the most about this is that some of our fan base are more interested in their hate campaign against me than they are about what's going on at their football club. Now, this makes me laugh because Barcelona and Real Madrid are on their knees at the moment, but their fans will not allow them to be on the knees for very long. They have presidential campaigns. They will not let Barcelona or Real Madrid be not fighting for titles for 8 years. They won't let it happen for 8 months. And yet our fan base thinks some of our fan base thinks it's more important to attack other fans of this club than to actually look at what's going on at our football club. And this is why we fail, because we think we've got an amazing fan base. We think our fan base is the best in the world, and it is at going to grounds, and it is in relation to its knowledge. But our football club is run by business people, and yet we sit there on our moral high horses thinking that I'm a better fan than you, and you're a better fan than me, and he's a better fan than you, and this, that, and the other. We argue amongst ourselves about goalkeepers. We argue amongst ourselves about where people are from. We argue amongst ourselves about how people celebrate goals. And yet our club is owned by bankers who don't support the club and take your money. The hypocrisy is hilarious. I'm telling you, Barcelona and Real Madrid will not be on their knees for very long. They're barely even on their knees, really. I mean, one of them could still win La Liga, but they hold themselves about where they are in the Champions League, and they're nowhere near. But their fans, as much as we laugh at them and as much as we ridicule them because La Liga's not what it was anymore, they will not be on their knees. They will force presidents out. They will get people in who, even when they're in debt, they will find the money to rebuild those football clubs because they are football institutions. Manchester United is not a football institution anymore. It is a massive football club to its fans, but to that board, it is a money-making exercise. And we as Manchester United fans sit here day after day arguing with each other about what goalkeeper's best, about where a fan comes from, about we're better fans than you, and yet we are all underneath a bank who dictates what our football clubs, and we all moan about Solskjaer's tactics not being good enough, or this player's not good enough. And the whole point is none of us have any control on anything. Who the goalkeeper is, who the manager is, what we're going to do in the summer. We don't control any of it. The people who control it are sat over there in America. They're not Manchester United fans. They bought us on debt. They make money out of us. And they'll probably do it again for the next 20 years, whilst other clubs that are football clubs, like Barcelona, like Bayern Munich, like Real Madrid, like Juventus, like PSG, like Celtic, all these big football institutions are still football institutions. They will go through bad times, but they will find themselves out of bad times very quickly because they are football institutions. But Manchester United are not a football institution in relation to its hierarchy at the top. We are a business. And we sit here arguing amongst ourselves about you're better than him, he's better than him, this. No. Look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that. And actually, we may as well be locked in a room arguing amongst ourselves with no way out, because we don't focus on the most important thing is, where is this football club heading? Is it ever going to be back where it is? I mean, I think it's totally unacceptable that Sir Alex Ferguson, in a couple of years, left a decade ago, and we are nowhere near a title. Do you think Barcelona or Bayern Munich would ever allow that to happen? And it happens at our football club. And yet, as a fan base, and I'm talking a collective here because we're all individuals, but as a fan base, we allow it to happen. We sit there pontificating about how great we are, arguing amongst ourselves, and yet the football club, when you actually look at it, is miles away from where it should be. And I'm telling you, there are other football clubs in the world that are as big as us, and they wouldn't allow it to happen. So who is to blame when we are powerless to do anything about the direction of our football club? And we actually do allow our expectations to get lowered down so much that fighting for top 4 every year is seen as a bonus. And this is where we are as a football club. But yeah, let's keep arguing. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep arguing about amongst ourselves, because that's really going to solve our issues, isn't it? It is ridiculous. But you see it every single day. The game is kicking off at 8 o'clock tonight. Massive game. Well, I mean, look, I suppose I'm being a bit of a hypocrite myself. Is it a massive game? I mean, would this be a massive game for Barcelona? It's not even the quarterfinals of the Europa League or Real Madrid or Juventus. No, it's not. It's a massive game for us because this is what we do. This is where we are at the moment. And we hope to climb out of this situation. And I look forward to the game tonight. And it is a big game. And in many ways, AC Milan are in the same position as us. But if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does not get backed in the summer, we're going to be doing tonight again for the next 10 years. We're going to be fighting for 4th again for the next 10 years. And at some point, something's got to change. Otherwise, we will be that former great club. Now, no manager's going to come in and change this situation. The only people who can change this situation are the Glazers. And I've said this for a while. There is no billionaire out there to buy this football club who's a United fan. The Glazers own this club. They're not going to give it up. I've said this for a very long time. I do believe in second chances, and I plead with them to actually run us like a football club. Stop running us like a bank and run us like a football club. Open up those doors and get those players in, because the teams like Man City, and I think Chelsea next season, now they've got a proper manager, and Liverpool will be back next year as well, they're going to leave us behind. And you're just going to be there going, oh, we're doing a great job fighting for 4th again, back in the Europa. They've got to do something. Whether they'll do it, I don't know, because there's nothing being done from the fan base to do anything about it. Can you please read my questions? I sent a super chat a few minutes ago. I love your channel and I'm watching from Norway. Okay, I'll have a look at that. Let's have a look at what else I wanted to talk about. So talk about that. Transfer podcast we've spoken about. Somebody did say, what's everyone's score prediction tonight? I can't give you a score prediction tonight. I mean, my score prediction tonight is Manchester United to win 2-0, so I actually am going to give you a score prediction. But I think so much of it is going to depend on when that team news comes through at about 6:30 tonight. Because if he plays McFred, we can still win, but it's going to be very hard. And let's not forget, it's not about what team he picks. It's about the way that team's going to get laid out tonight. And we need to score. Like, 0-0 and we're out. So we need to score. And I look at that team and I don't see loads of goals in it. So we've got to create as many chances as we can, because I think Dan James can miss chances. I think Rashford can miss chances. I think Bruno, when he's shooting from outside the box, can miss chances. We need to create as many chances as possible to score as many goals as possible. So to do that, you've got to play on the front foot. Do you think we could turn Aaron Wan-Bissaka into a CDM, says Tommy Armstrong? I will predict this will have a crap summer and Solskjaer will be sacked and the new manager will come and fail. Evidence is there. Prove me wrong, board, says DK. It's the cycle, isn't it? Who do you think the top four targets are for them positions? Says Salah Ahmed. I don't think Man United know themselves, Salah. I don't think that they've even sat down and decided who they're going for yet. So I think slow, as per usual. Mark, some fans seem to like recalling your opinions from years ago. They should spend more time recalling the crap our owners come out with. And Declan says, hi Mark, love the show, but does anyone else feel like Mark would make a great politician? Keep up the good work from Ireland, says Declan Gunning. And does our record versus the traditional top 6 worry you? I think in relation to that, Matt, what worries me is what we might do tonight. I think against the traditional top 6, what we've been doing is picking McFred and playing deep. And that you've got... I mean, basically, I've said this so many times, and I think many people agree with me on this. McFred is basically one player. Then neither of those are good enough to play CDM, so we play 2 of them to try and do one person's job. And then neither of them can actually play football in an expansive way. So we lose a player because we're using 2 players to do one, and then neither of those players give us any attacking impetus. So I think that's been the problem against the traditional top 6, because they're just 2 players who break up the play. They don't provide a platform attacking wise. So that is the problem for me. Yeah, definitely. I think that's the situation there. But look, yeah, I mean, I would be excited tonight. I am excited tonight. I think that we've got... I think the first leg leaves us in a situation where we are worried about the game tonight because they played so much better than us and they've got a lot of their players back. I mean, ultimately, we don't really have any players back. We've got Paul Pogba back. We've got no Cavani. We've got no Martial. He won't use Diallo. He won't use Van der Beek. So really, we could have the same starting lineup as last week, apart from the fact that he's going to play Shaw instead of Tellez and Lindelof will play instead of Bailly. We'll have the same problems we had last week if we don't start Paul Pogba. It's as simple as that. We've got to play Paul Pogba. And people will say, well, you can't play him because he's not played in a few weeks. Well, he shouldn't be part of the squad then. If you're fit, you're fit. Even if we get an hour out of him, I would rather start him and maybe get the goal, and then last half an hour you've got to bring McTominay on and just see what you can do. But I don't think keeping Pogba back for the last half an hour, the game might be over. We've got to start well in this game. This is the most important thing about this game. We've got to start well. There's no point having a game plan that will play like this for an hour and then we'll get Paul on for the last half an hour and go for it. We'll contain them for an hour and try and get a goal and then get Paul on for the last half an hour. Get Paul on for the first hour and, you know, don't lose the game. Stay in the game, because you can always bring Donny on. You know, we could play Pogba and Fred for an hour. Pogba gets tired. And then you bring Donny on, who gives you, you can go a little bit more expansive then. But I have a fear that he's going to start McFred, and we won't. And Pogba and Van der Beek will be on the bench, and that might work, but I think it's going to be a lot harder to do. Thank you, Mark, for the content in this tough times. You don't know how much you've helped me, says Don Ollie. Thanks very much, mate. Thanks for the super chat. And Mark, so the problem with United is at the top, and we know this, but how can this issue be solved? Because there is only so much you can advocate, says Overdale. We're powerless, mate. We're absolutely powerless. And I mean, the structure of English football clubs is undesirable. German football clubs are run with a much bigger fan focus. Spanish football clubs have this presidential system, which is brilliant, because if a president is not doing well, they'll get ousted and somebody else gets voted in. I mean, I don't know whether you've paid any attention to the Spanish presidential systems at Real Madrid and Barcelona over the years, but they basically are politicians. It's a bit like, Labour versus Conservative, or the Democrats in America versus the other crowd, or any other nation where you have your political parties going up against each other. You get a president who's not the president of Barcelona, and he's saying, vote me in, I'll buy Haaland. I think they had it at Real Madrid before, where it was, vote me in, I'll get Beckham. You know, it's been going on for years and years. I mean, imagine if Manchester United had a presidential system. Like Ed Woodward's coming towards the end of his campaign, and then you get somebody else who wants to be voted in, and they're like, get me in, I'll get a CDM and a centre back, and I'm going to get Varane and this, that, and the other. It's very different to how the clubs are run in England. But basically, in England, our Manchester United or your Liverpool or whoever, these clubs that, you know, generations have grown up supporting, the massive institutions, historic institutions, passionate institutions. I mean, we know the story of Manchester United. It's not a football club. It's a religion to many people. Has been acquired by businessmen to make money. It's tragic. It's absolutely tragic what's happened to this football club. But that's just the way it happens in England. It's happened to Blackburn Rovers. It's happened to Stoke City. It happens to every club. It can just be bought. And all you ever hope is that these people that buy your club love your football club and want it to be the best club in the world. But unfortunately, some people get hold of football clubs and they just want to make money out of it. And that's what's happened to Manchester United. We're sort of restricted. They do spend money. I will say that they spend money, but they also want to make money. And that's always going to be a problem when you've got other clubs in this league, in the Premier League, who've got owners who don't really want to make money out of the club. They want it to be the biggest and best football club in the world. So you're always going to struggle, aren't you? But could Man United fans have done anything to stop it? Not really, because the ownership was just passed from one to another, wasn't it? And, we didn't really see it coming until it was too late, or were powerless to do anything about it. So, yeah, I don't think anything's going to change. I think our biggest hope, as I've said before, is that the Glazers suddenly think, you know what? We want to be the best club in the world. Let's spend the money on it. And the most frustrating thing is, the way that we try to save money at Man United isn't even intelligent, because we have wasted so much money on stupid wages. Like, we could save so much money by being far more efficient. You know, if you didn't give Phil Jones a 5-year contract on 80 grand a year, if you didn't give Pereira a 5-year contract, if you didn't give Sanchez 400 grand a year, you know, we waste a lot of money. If you didn't buy one player for this and then let him go for virtually nothing. But I do just... you know, I think in football as well, if you spend a lot of money this summer on a centre-back and a CDM, we will finish higher up the league. You will sell more shirts. You will sell more sponsorship. We will finish higher up the league. You will make more money. Football has always been that way. Manchester United's highest... If you look at Manchester United share prices, they're always... If you go through the last 20 years, our share prices, obviously inflation's there, but if you look at the jumps, they're always around... I think our highest ever share price was when Mourinho won us the Europa League. So success makes money in football, and that's the way it is. So if you speculate, you'll accumulate, but our owners just don't really seem to know how to do that very well. But there you go. The class of '92 can't afford Manchester United. No, there's hardly anybody in the world who can afford Manchester United. That's the problem, because the Glazers bought us on debt and have actually made us a very, very valuable asset. So we're virtually unbuyable. Hardly anybody in the world could buy Manchester United. So we are stuck with them, I'm afraid. And I think our best hope is that they decide to try and make us the best club in the world. I hope they do. I wish they would. Can you shout out my mate Harvey? Says Gerald. Gerald, there you go. Shout out for Harvey. Please smash a like on the video, by the way. We've got a really good interview coming up this afternoon. Check out that on the channel, because it's match day, so I'm not going to be live at 2 o'clock. So we've got an interview going up for you at 2 o'clock. Watch out for that. And of course, the watch along tonight. It's the big one. Very excited for it. So smash a like on the video. We've got the live subscriber counter. Let's see if that's changed while we've been on air. No, it hasn't. But if you do subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, that number will change. Also, as well, bottom right-hand corner for subscribing, bottom right-hand corner, please smash a like on the video. And remember, United Stand Picks is back for tonight's game against AC Milan. We've got a £1,000 cash prize pot. You must be over 18 to play, but it is free to enter. Terms and conditions are in the video description. Please play responsibly. It's free to enter, but you've got to be over 18 because it is cash prizes we're giving away. We've got another £1,000 cash prize pot. If you've already downloaded the app, you may as well play it because it's free, like I said. 12 questions, all to do with the game tonight. There's a live leaderboard so you can see how you're doing through the game, and it's questions within the game like, will Bruno get an assist? Will Rashford score? Will we score in the first half? What will the score be? 12 questions, all to do with the game. Links in the video description for that. Give it a go. Free to enter. Must be over 18 and you might win. Thanks everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. And we will be back again tonight for the match. But we've also got the interview coming up with an ex-Man United player this afternoon. So watch out for that. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Stay safe. And let's get ready for tonight. We've got to do it. We've got to do it.